Hey guys, Tepcocyclerepair. It's Easter morning. Wife's in there, going to be whipping up an awesome meal as usual. I'm heading into the shop. I got a DRZ 110 here, and if you know these bikes, they're great pit bikes. They're great bikes for beginners, and this one lost a spark, so let's go figure it out. All right, guys, so this is the pit bike yard variation of the DRZ 110. And there's a couple things in these bikes when the spark goes bad, should be the first things that you test. And the first one's going to be your kill switch. So you got your kill switch up here. You're going to file that down and unplug it. Just remove that hole from that whole thing from the ignition and make sure that it's not getting killed. All right, so that's right here. So we're going to unplug that and see if we get a spark. If not, another really common problem is going to be right here. It's this neutral safety switch. It goes down here. There's a sensor down in there that gets corroded in dirt sometimes, and it won't make a connection. So easy way to do that is to take this light green wire, unplug the switch, and then on this side of the wire, the harness part of the wire coming out, we're just going to ground that light green wire to a ground anywhere, and then we'll see if it has a spark. And that'll just tell us that our switch is bad. You can just permanently ground it if you want to be able to start it in any gear, or you can just take it out and clean it up, which is what we'll do because I don't know that he wants to remove that. So let's start with the kill switch. All right, guys, but before you get started on any of this stuff, the first thing you should do is check all your connections, make sure they're good, make sure they're clean, make sure that they're connected good before you start anything else. Make sure all of your grounds, there's a ground behind the coil, make sure that those are all cleaned up, scuffed. Do all that stuff quick because that'll only take a couple minutes, and make sure that all your connections are good, and this way the current is flowing where it should be. Now, I'm going to have you guys set up here so you can see the spark, but first I want to show you the kill switch here. It's just a push-in clip right there, and you're going to unplug this. So with the kill switch disconnected, we still got nothing. No spark. All right, guys, so I just back probed the light green wire right there. Grounded it. And if that's the problem, we should get spark. Nothing. Still no spark. All right, so let's start looking into other things. All right, so it's usually not the CDI box, but this one here, it's got friction all over the swing arm. I mean the shock spring. It's zip tied to here where I can collect all the mud and grease from the chain. So I don't know, I'm going to try to maybe find a donor and see if that fixes it. But being that it's all melted right here, you know, I don't know. I mean, sometimes clues stick out, but I'm not sure. We got to check it. Pull the rubber cover off, and surprisingly enough, it's not even touched underneath it. So we'll go check everything else first. All right, so let's start testing some wires here. Well, I unplugged it. Get out of there, boy. Stink bug action. You got to watch them. Crush them by mistake and it'll stink up the whole shop. All right, so let's test the ohms in the stator. So looking at the yellow lead, 0.1 to 0.8. I'm at 0.6 on the yellow. Let's put it in the white. And the white's 0.2 to 1.0. And we're at 0.9, 0.8 in the white. So we're good there. Let's check the pickup. All right, and our pickup coil resistance between the blue and the yellow lead is 50 to 200. All right, so there's our blue and yellow. And we're at 114.9. So everything in the coil, pickup coil is all good. So that pushes us towards the actual coil or the wire or the plug. All right, so checking our coil. Here's our secondary to the wire. Now I've taken the end off to eliminate that, and I got the positive sticking in the end there, and I got this one on the primary, and I'm getting 3.018 kilo ohms. So that's good. That's where we should be. All right. So now let's go to our primary, and we're just going to jump the two together here. One lead on the one side and one lead on the other side. Now also this boot can be bad, so you have to look up what specs yours has, and you can, when you unscrew it, it's just when you unscrew from here, there's just a screw sticking out in there. The screw to where the plug goes in, and you can test that, and you got to find out what kind of resistance you're supposed to be getting in there. Some have resistors, some don't. It depends. But the wire itself here, if it's not clean going into it, just cut a little bit off the end of the wire so that your screw goes back in, you make good clean contact. That's what I did here. It's been done before, so this cable is kind of straighter than I'd like, but that's the length of the cable there. If I got to replace the cable, you can just screw it in on both sides. Get a new cable, and there's a screw in the coil part up in there, and there's another screw in the boot. But make sure your boot is good. Make sure there's no cracks in the boot so the spark's not jumping over and grounding out on the head. All right, just like this. Stick it in here. This is from a different bike. Stick this one in here and you're going to get a reading. And you got to figure out what the reading's supposed to be on the bike you're working on. It usually runs around 5 ohms. So this is at 7.62. This is fine. All right, guys, so checking my primary coil here off the bike, I should be getting 0.19 to 0.23 ohms. All right, so with that all good, we're going to check our regulator rectifier just to check, make sure everything is good there. We're going to go to the right-hand side next to the head tube. All right, I just unplugged this right here. All right, and there's our regulator rectifier, and we're going to go ahead and check that out. Those are our connections in there. Got it. So we're going to do positive on the L, negative on the E, and we should have 10 to 100. All right, guys, so here we are on the bench. I have them both laid out. We have our old one and our new one. I'm going to show you guys what they look like. So here on the old one, if we go by the book, we have the terminals. There's 4 terminals inside here. You have L, E, A, and B. So the book says if you go negative on the L, positive on the E, we should be reading between 10 and 100 ohms. And we have nothing, okay? So now we're going to go to the brand new one and do the same thing. And then we watch the reading, and then the readings we're supposed to be getting 10 to 100 ohms, and we're in the 32 to 33 range. That's good. That's a new one. All right, so let's throw this one in and see if we got a spark. All right, guys, so when everything is good, it leads you to the CDI box. So you've tested everything. Everything is good. Let me show you this. This is with the old CDI box. Nothing. Now we're going to put the new CDI box in. All right, we got the new CDI box in here. Let's look at that plug again and give it another kick. All right, so we're good. Let's put it back together. All right, there we go. Running again. And another thing you can do for the Stator is do a peak voltage test. I don't have a peak voltage meter, but basically you put it onto your multimeter and you kick it a bunch of times, and you're supposed to get 100 AC volts coming out of that. So I don't have one. Usually if you do all of your ohms readings between the wires like they showed earlier, usually not a problem. But if you still continue to have problems, this is something else you can check. All right, guys, so there you go. You got to do things step by step, but do it by the manual. Buy a manual, get one online, ask questions, it doesn't matter. But figure out what you got to do. Test each thing individually. Eliminate each thing one step at a time. If you eliminate everything, you still have no spark. The only thing you really can't test is the CDI. And that's what we ran into with this bike here. I tested everything. It did have the bad rectifier, and that probably burnt out the CDI. So we replaced the rectifier because we tested that and it tested bad, right? So we replaced that with the new rectifier on. It still didn't have a spark. So new CDI, and now it's running again. So you just got to do things step by step. Trust your readings. Make sure you have a good meter and you're doing everything by the book, and you'll be good to go, guys. Hopefully this helps you out. If you have a no spark problem on your KLX 110 or your DRZ, do me a favor, please hit the like button, subscribe, hit that bell for further notifications. Until next time, this is Tepcocyclerepair. I'm doing a little oil change in this too. That oil was dirty.